Okay, well, first off, let me say this. I'm sorry I haven't been doing videos all week like I promised, but, I've been still just having big family conflict issues and all that crap, and it's just been so stressful this week, and all that. Anyway, I am sorry for that, but I decided to make it up to you and hopefully get this weekend review updated to today, Friday, since I actually do have some free time, okay? So let's get started, shall we? Now we got 3 new movies this weekend: The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones, The World's End, and You're Next. Now I want to start off with a movie that so I can, just kind of get through it quick and painless as possible. That is The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones. Now let's face facts, I watched other people's reviews on it, and honestly, they weren't that bad. Some people said it's still a good movie. It's okay. It's not necessarily as bad as Twilight. And honestly, I went to go see it. I'm like, there's no way this movie could be better than Twilight or whatever. Because honestly, even looking at the trailer and the posters and all that, I'm like, that's Twilight. There's Harry Potter. There's all these beloved book series combined in one. That's all made for teens. That's how I saw the look of this movie. Now when I went to go see this movie, I was just like, huh? It's like, that's really okay. Here's the thing. This movie did kind of surprise me a little bit. Here's the thing. It's this huge, big thing. There's all this magic and it's all these different creatures and all that. But here's the thing. I'm kind of throwing myself out there. Okay, listen. This is the real deal right here. Okay. There were some parts of the movie that did surprise me as far as the storytelling and the structures, and the different elements. Some of it was actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed some of the little bitty stuff in this movie. But though overall, the beginning where this girl finds out that she feels different from everyone else, I'm like, well, no kidding. It's a freaking teen movie that's based off of a beloved book series. It's gonna be something like that. I was kind of thinking of something like that, and it felt like, no. And then it's like, you meet this one guy, and I'm like, oh, there's going to be a love triangle. But the thing that really surprised me was that they didn't introduce the love story until later on in the movie. So I kind of took in a little bit of it, just had some space to breathe. Within probably, maybe the first hour of the movie, for at least the first hour of the movie or something like that. Because... And here's the thing, I was definitely expecting a love story to happen. Let's face it. Look, if you look at this movie, if you even look from the trailers, there's going to be a love story. Just the way it looks, it's all cliche. We've all seen this before, and that's the thing. We've all seen this before. It's nothing new. This is nothing different. It's just based off a book series, really. And yeah, let me continue on saying this, okay? But here's the thing. They with about an hour and a half into the movie, however long the movie was, they start to introduce that love story, that love thing, and then they introduce a love pyramid, and oh my god, that really felt like Twilight right there. But not necessarily with just 2 other guys, but I think it was actually 3 other guys. Yeah, it was 3 other guys, and I'm like, oh my god, just put me out of my misery. Granted, I would totally hit on that chick for all the money in the world, but let's face facts. Stupid love pyramids, they're so freaking stupid. This movie really is Twilight. I don't care if y'all don't want me to hear this. I will say this. This movie is ripoff of Twilight and Harry Potter in a lot of ways. But here's the thing, like I said, there are some things in this movie that I did like. There were some structures and story elements that worked together and then were very well. And I did like a little bit of the first hour before you started to get into that love triangle thing. Even though there were some parts that were still cliche and then honestly just made me want to rip my hair out, I didn't hate this movie. I didn't hate this movie, but the thing is, I didn't like this movie. Because, you've seen these elements before. There's nothing new going on here. It's this girl, she's different, and then she meets this other guy who is this magical dude. Dude, I can't even reference points out of this movie, because honestly, I was just in okay, I'm waiting for this, and I'm waiting for that, and I'm waiting for that, and I'm waiting for that. Oh, this is new, and I'm waiting for this, I see that. Yep, that's already there. Hey, there's something new right there. It's like picking out points in a movie. I'm terrible when it comes to movies like these, because here's the thing, when you're picking out points like that, you don't feel this movie's gonna get any better. But then again, when you come across that one moment where it seems different, hey, I actually like that part. I actually like this part. I actually like this part. yeah, I mean, it's not exactly what you would want, but there are actually some good parts in this movie here too. I didn't hate this movie. I mean, I definitely liked it way more than the Twilight movies for sure, but still, this movie is just, it's not that good, honestly. Or it's not to my taste. I'd recommend this movie to all the heartthrob teenage girls who are just dying to be with probably some of the guys in the movie, or Robert Pattinson, whatever you want to say. This movie is definitely made for teen girls, but for guys like me, don't go watch this movie. There's really no point, unless your girlfriend decides to haul your butt in there, you know. And I don't know what else to tell you. I'm gonna go ahead and give the Mortal Instruments of City of Bones a 4. I mean, it felt like there were definitely some cliche parts. Felt like there were some strong parts as well, but overall, I mean, nothing new here. That's the sad part. I mean, so honestly, but I'm definitely not looking forward to a sequel because I heard it's a 6-book series, and yeah, not looking forward to it so far. Okay, now let's move on to The World's End. Now, finally, we come to a movie that's actually interesting, funny, and wow, this movie really surprised me. I mean, here's the thing. It's the director of this movie is Edgar Wright, and he's worked with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost and all these other actors before in like 2 other movies, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. And it's supposed to be part of this trilogy. It's supposed to be like this comedy trilogy type thing, even though really they're not really the same characters. They're just different parodies of each other, or something like that. This movie, I mean, it's not really a parody. It's just like, it's just really the story, you know, these guys that attempted to do this pub crawl, you know, like 20 years ago, and then failed miserably. I mean, we get that, you've seen that, and then they try to reattempt it again, but this time they're going up against, you know, these robots full of blue stuff, and I'm like, it's a sci-fi thing. And now let me just say this, I freaking loved The World's End. I mean, I'm a sucker for good comedies that have definitely little bits of elements that make the movie progress. I mean, this movie just kept getting better and better and better and even funnier at times. I mean, this movie also too, you know, it's a comedy that works. It like has a little bit of everything, and it's just super funny. It's really funny. If you like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, then you're gonna love this movie. I mean, it's really funny and it's really great. And, you know, the characters are great, too. Simon Pegg, he's just a comic genius. I really love this guy. I loved him in movies like the new Star Trek movies. I loved him in Paul. I mean, the guy's just a great actor. Great in Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz as well. I mean, he's a funny actor. Nick Frost, love that guy. He's like the big, tubby guy that I just want to snuggle up with. He's just a funny guy. He's very cool, you know. And then you have Bilbo Baggins, Martin Freeman, who I definitely liked in this movie a lot. And he was just a great, and this one other dude, I don't know his name, but I do know that he played in The Bourne Ultimatum. He played, I think his name was Simon Ross. You know, if you don't know who I'm talking about, go check out The Bourne Ultimatum and look for the character at the beginning of the movie named Simon Ross. That's the guy. He was great in this movie. Every character in this movie had their great moments. They each had their moments, and they each had their comic moments, and they were all very funny, and they all worked with the story very well. One of the things, too, about this movie was that it was actually surprisingly heartfelt at times. Like, it wasn't just your typical comedy, and, you know, like your laugh out loud, LOL, kind of like, or actually, let me go back and kind of say this. I kind of compare here's how I'm going to, like, say, like, The World's End, I'm going to compare this movie with The World's End to This Is the End, okay? Because here's the thing, okay? This Is the End was a movie that was outrageously funny. I mean, honestly, This Is the End was definitely a lot funnier to me than The World's End, even though The World's End was still very, very funny. But the thing with This Is the End is that it was its own movie that was kind of making fun of the media, you know? And The World's End is definitely more of a story, and it really is. It's more wanting to be a movie, wanting to be an actual story, while This Is the End is just basically making fun of the movie business, really, in general, which honestly still worked, but that's just the difference in this movie. The World's End was a movie that tried to be a story, and it tried to be very funny, and which it definitely succeeded, and it definitely tried to add this little bit of taste into it, like a little bit of drama, a little bit of heartfulness, and I really felt for these characters in this movie. This is the first movie in a while where I've actually dug into the characters, and my God, you know, when you get dug into characters like these, you know this movie is obviously doing something right. I don't know what it is, but man, it just like hits me right here, and that's what I loved about this movie a lot. And you know, you actually start to feel for these characters, Now, I know that's not how other people might interpret the movie, but that's honestly how I felt in the movie. You know, it's like, it reminded me of Knocked Up. If you ever seen the movie with Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl, where it's like, you know, it's a funny movie at times, but then again, it tries to bring more of a heartfelt story into it. That's kind of how this movie was, you know, not necessarily so much that it takes away from the movie, but just the perfect amount so that it still delivers the movie in every way. I loved this movie a lot. It was a fantastic movie. I'm going to give this movie a 10. A solid 10. And here's why. Because basically, throughout this past year, I've been rating movies too hard. Like, when I'd always watch a movie, I'd always like try to be waiting for like a flaw that I didn't like so much. Like, ooh, this movie was this. Ooh, this movie had that. Oh, I'm not sure, but I can take it away. It's alright. And you know, and here's the thing. I mean, with The World's End, I didn't expect to give this movie a 10. I knew the movie was going to be good, but man, I was very impressed by this movie. But here's the thing with this movie. As I kept watching it more and more and more, you know, here's the thing. I always come in a movie, like, keep watching for flaws and all that. But when I sat down to watch this movie, honestly, I didn't even worry about the flaws. I just worried about the story and what it was going for and the comedic laughs and kind of a bit of the heartfeltness at times. And honestly, it just drove my attention off of a movie having a flaw. And that's really the one thing. This movie made me want to watch this movie. It made me deliver. It made me focus my eyes on the screen the whole time and not worry about everything else. So The World's End, props to you on that, my friend. That is why you definitely get the 10. Fantastic movie. It's definitely going to be on my top 10 list, for sure. Just a fantastic movie. And if you're into movies like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, if you're into Edgar Wright, who's also done other movies like Scott Pilgrim, you know, and if you love Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and all of them, go check out this movie. It's killer funny. You'll love it. Now, let me get on to the final movie of the week, and that is You're Next. Now, I don't know what's going on here, but definitely some of the scary movies recently, ever since probably Sinister, are actually starting to become scary. I mean, Evil Dead, I mean, it was scary, but definitely more gory, but still great horror movie. Definitely a great remake. And like I said, The Conjuring, you know, it was very scary. It was a very gritty movie. I loved The Conjuring. And now we come to You're Next. Now, here's the thing with You're Next. It's a slasher movie, okay? We get that. And there's nothing new going on here. It's unoriginal in every way possible. But here's the thing, you know, with what it lacks in its originality and the acting and all that crap, it definitely makes up for in the scares. And there are definitely some pretty good scares in this movie. Not as scary as like The Conjuring or as good as like Evil Dead or Sinister, but nevertheless, it's still scary. I honestly don't know how Hollywood is doing this, but they are definitely just... I feel like Hollywood is definitely starting to re-improvise scary and trying to scare people. And I don't know how they're doing it, but it is working. This movie was really... For what it was worth, and I really mean that with all my heart. I mean, for what it was worth, for what it tried to deliver, I give them that credit, because honestly, I am a sucker for stuff like that. And I really like the scares a lot in this movie. Honestly, you could care less about the story for its unoriginality. This movie is pretty scary. There are definitely some jump scares. There are some clever surprise scares. That's really the smart thing in this movie. That's really probably what the director really focused on in this movie the most. Was it's like, just give crappy performances and then we'll come into the scares. He probably spent more time on the scares than he did with the actual story of the movie. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's probably how a lot of scary movies are nowadays. I mean, The Conjuring, I mean, not very original, but, you know. Evil Dead, I mean, you know, we've seen that before, but still surprises. Sinister, it's a little bit something new, but still, you know, I mean, it's still a scary movie. You know, that's just me. And then, but though You're Next, you know, like I said, there are definitely some good moments, and then there's some moments that honestly, it's like, okay, let's get back to the scaring and the killing and the slashiness. You know, it's definitely a slasher movie. It's a good slasher movie. I'd probably recommend it. You should go check this movie out, see what you think. I'm going to give this movie probably a 7. I mean, it's a good movie. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was pretty scary at times. You know, it was a great slasher effect. Definitely one of the scariest slasher movies I've ever seen, because they're honestly not that good to me. But this one did, for what it's worth, you know, made it very right. And that's my take on The Mortal Instrument, City of Bones, The World's End, and You're Next. And hopefully I'll do a few more videos, hopefully sometime this weekend. And I'm sorry for not making any more videos. I did post my favorite and least favorite Leonardo DiCaprio films right here. You can click right there. But You know, I'm sorry. Hopefully, you know, just keep leaving me suggestions. Hopefully I'll get to them. But still, when school starts, I'm going to be so busy. You have no idea. You know, and that's really all I have to say. Be sure to like, subscribe, tell all your friends, and hopefully I will see you sometime tomorrow. Bye.